on my young, there's some savages running your trap, at you up for them packages. Rob you for bricks, finesse you for pounds. Fuck all that talking, they laying you down. Gotta teach niggas about playing around. Cartel connected, you better respect it. Fuck up the papers and you to your maker, they lay.
What's up, guys? Mr. Octagonal here from Octagonal Sports / Reacts. And now I know this is mainly a draft channel, by the way. NBA Big Board should be up in a couple days, and then an NFL Mock Draft should be up in about a week. But we have defensive free agency predictions for the offense. I did a collab with myself, because I have no one else to do it with. But there will be a link in the description or the comments for that video if you want to watch it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Looking at the defensive line, probably the strongest suit in free agency when it comes to defense. And my top one is Sheldon Richardson of the Seattle Seahawks. It seemed like he had a quiet year, but he was a big impact in the Seahawks' run defense this year and a big impact in their defense as a whole. Now, he's probably not going to come back to the Seahawks. The Seahawks have talented young players on their defensive line like Frank Clark, Jarran Reed, Malik McDowell, so I think they'll be okay with letting Sheldon Richardson go. And there are plenty of teams who can use some pass rush. My Lions, of course, one of those teams. But just anyone who needs any sort of player who can stop the run, who can rush the passer, he can do all of it. So Sheldon Richardson, that's why he's my top guy. You can debate that I should have given him an A, but there you go. Second is Ndamukong Suh. He was cut by the Miami Dolphins, so now he can go pretty much anywhere. And as a Lions fan, I would be very intrigued to see him return to Detroit. I think it makes a lot of sense. They're losing Haloti Ngata, who was signing with the Philadelphia Eagles on a one-year deal, and their inside defense is going to be horrendous without Haloti Ngata. So a player like Ndamukong Suh. The reason why I have Richardson over Suh is because A, Richardson is younger, and B, I feel like Richardson can do a little more than Ndamukong Suh, but Ndamukong Suh is more probably flat-out dominant, but I feel like Sheldon Richardson is more well-rounded. Next up, we have Dontari Poe, signed a one-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons, and it worked out, but, yeah, he's a free agent again. I expect him to get paid probably around $10 million per year, so I don't think the Falcons are going to bring him back. I think they love to bring him back, but I don't think they can. And he is primarily a run stopper because he is a big nose tackle. He can rush the passer. But the difference between him and Sheldon Richardson, once again, Sheldon Richardson is a little more well-rounded. Star Lotulelei, who I believe has signed with the Buffalo Bills, if I'm not mistaken. He's a talented player. Not much else to talk about there. And the last one is Alex Okafor, a great year of the Saints. Phenomenal pass rusher. I think he's going to get a little overpaid, but he did have a really good year with New Orleans, and he's definitely going to improve someone's pass rush. Next up, we have the linebackers, and the linebacking group here in this free agency class is really intriguing. My top one is Zach Brown. He signed a one-year deal with the Redskins. He had a great year. I believe he came from Tennessee or Buffalo. I'm not sure. I think he's played for both the Titans and the Bills. And he's going to get a lot of money. I don't know where. Any team that could use an inside presence at linebacker. The Titans, they have Avery Williamson. The Bills, they have Preston Brown. But Avery Williamson is a free agent. And Preston Brown, I think he got re-signed, if I'm not mistaken. So Zach Brown, he's a really good player. He is a tackling machine. He's all over the field. He was a big help to the Redskins defense, and he can be a big help to any defense. Next up is Demario Davis, who was on the Jets. Then he signed with the Browns, and then he got traded back to the Jets for Calvin Pryor. The Browns just cut Calvin Pryor, and Demario Davis had a great year for the Jets. And one of the reasons why the Jets did not have 2 or 3 wins. And he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid. He, very similar to Zach Brown, tackling machine. Phenomenal year from Demario Davis. He is a bit of a one-year wonder, but he had a great season. Next up is Avery Williamson, who's a player I've been high on. He's had a solid career with the Titans. I don't know how much money he's going to get. I think the Titans might bring him back. Not sure. That's just my guess. But he's a very good player and can be a very good player for any team. Next up, we have Tahir Whitehead from my Detroit Lions, a player who I've really liked the past few years. Doesn't seem like the Lions are going to bring him back as they signed both Devon Kennard from the New York Giants and Christian Jones from the Bears. Kennard was a 3-year, $18 million contract. I think that's too much money for him. That's just me. Tahir Whitehead, though, is going to get a lot. 4 years, like 6-7 mil per year. I think a team that really needs a linebacker, sort of like the New York Giants, who are losing their best linebacker in Devon Kennard, could really use a player like him. And the last one is Nigel Bradham of the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't see him returning to the Eagles simply because the Eagles don't have the most money in the world, and I think they can afford to let Bradham go, unlike many other players on their team. So yeah, now on to the secondary. Let's take a look at the cornerback position. There are many teams that could use another cornerback. And the top guy on my free agency list is Trumaine Johnson at a B+. Now, Trumaine Johnson, he's never made a Pro Bowl. He's not like a top corner or anything, but he's going to get paid top corner money. He's going to get a lot of money. He's not going back to the Rams since they traded for both Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib. So the Rams don't really need him. And they traded for Peters and Talib because they knew if they were going to let Trumaine Johnson go and that they don't want to pay him. And I think that's the right move from the Rams. But pretty much almost every team could use another cornerback in this league. Doesn't hurt to get some more corners. We're just going to look at good teams, for example. The Eagles, they're going to probably lose a decent amount of corners. The Patriots, they're losing Malcolm Butler. They could use a corner. The Steelers definitely would like another corner with Artie Burns. The Jaguars, maybe not the Jaguars. The Vikings, they could use another guy. Terrence Newman. He's very old. Next up, we have Malcolm Butler, who's also not going to return to his team as the Patriots. Of course, benched him in the Super Bowl, and I believe there are two teams that will get him. Either the Texans or the Lions. The Texans have a glaring hole at corner. Jonathan Joseph will be brought back, I think. And Kevin Johnson's okay, but they need that top guy. I think the Texans can certainly make the playoffs next year. And Malcolm Butler can certainly do that. And the other team is the Lions. I also have Darius Slay, like Quandre Diggs, Nevin Lawson. Neither of them are great, so Malcolm Butler will be a true number 2 corner. And Matt Patricia, he was the defensive coordinator in New England last year, so he knows Malcolm Butler. I expect the Lions to get some numerous Patriots players throughout the next few seasons with Patricia and Bob Quinn. Next up, Rashaan Melvin from the Indianapolis Colts. He's going to get paid a lot of money after having a very good year for Colts. He was a no-name, and then he had a great contract season. And yeah, he's going to get overpaid. He's a great player, but he's going to get a little too much. E.J. Gaines, who was traded in the Sammy Watkins trade, which the Bills definitely won, he's going to get a lot of money too, but he had a great year. He's younger than Rashaan Melvin. I think he's 26, so I'd probably have E.J. Gaines ahead of Melvin. And I think E.J. Gaines was honestly better this year than Rashaan Melvin. So I think E.J. Gaines, he's going to get paid a lot of money too. And the last one is Morris Claiborne. Couldn't really figure out who I wanted at number 5, so I just went with him. He is a bust, but he certainly had a decent career with the Jets. The Jets have no secondary or no corners. They have 2 great safeties in Jamal Adams and Marcus May, but they have no cornerback group really. So I think bringing back Morris Claiborne would probably be for the better for the New York Jets. And last but certainly not least, we have the safeties. None of these guys really stand out, but there are some very talented players in here, with the first one being Morgan Burnett. He had a bit of a down year with Green Bay, and I don't think he's going to go back to Green Bay, but there are many teams who need a corner, could use a safety. You need 2 safeties in this NFL, and teams like the Jaguars, who have great corners, their safeties, they have good safeties, Tashaun Gibson, Barry Church, but they're not great like their corners. I don't think they're going to go after Morgan Burnett, but I'm just using them as an example. The Rams are pretty set at safety. But he's going to get some money from a pretty good team that could use some help in the secondary. He can play either 3 or strong safety, I think, too. So that's good. Next up, we have Kenny Vaccaro, who's been a talented player with the Saints. I think he could maybe even be used in a linebacker hybrid role. In a way, sort of like Dayon Buchanan with the Cardinals. So a team that's looking for that hybrid player, Kenny Vaccaro is your guy from the Saints. He's been a good player for the Saints in his career. I don't think he's going to go back, but he might. Next up is Trey Boston from the Chargers. He was traded there from Carolina, and he had a pretty good year. The Chargers safety, the safeties are not great on the Chargers, so bringing him back would probably be for the better, but who knows how much he's going to ask for. Eric Reed, he hasn't quite been the same player as he was towards the beginning of his career, but he's still a talented player out there in San Francisco, and I think he'll get a job somewhere. I don't think he'll get paid too much, maybe $3-4 million a year. And the last one is Tavon Wilson, a very underrated player from my Lions, who I've really liked, and I'm very happy that he's going to be returning on a 2-year, $7 million deal. I don't think that's overpaying Tavon Wilson. I think he's a phenomenal player. So that's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Who do you guys want your team to get? And make sure to check out my offensive predictions. I'm out. Peace.